When it goes on Matthew 20, verses 17 to 19, as Jesus was about to go to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves. And on his way, he said to them, and then he starts to tell them the third prophecy, the second in Matthew, about his death and resurrection. Hundreds of prophecies about Jesus. The one around the cross being very, very important ones. And now he begins to detail what's going to happen, that he's going to die, he's going to be suffered, he's going to be crucified. Actually specifically says how he's going to die, and then the resurrection, which is so important. In 1 Corinthians 1 verse 8, it says, the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us it is the power of God. And so he draws the disciples aside, and then he tells them again, not letting this information go into everyone, they wouldn't understand it, but it's important that his 12 disciples understand what is the purpose of Jesus coming to the earth and suffering and dying. And so when we read verses like Luke 9:33 and others that we've already read in Mathew, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. And so we too need to understand the aspect of going to the cross, denying the flesh. We need to understand the aspect of suffering, aspect that we just learned recently of the first being last and the last being first, aspect of grace, and that the thief on the cross didn't do anything to gain salvation. He just believed in Jesus. And so the cross talks about the forgiveness, it talks about suffering. And let's just carry on reading in verse 18. Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem. So he explains where he's going to die, and the Son of Man will be delivered to the chief priests and scribes. He explains very specifically which group of people are going to deal with him and hand him over. It's the chief priests and the scribes, those in the church who know the Old Testament. They're the ones who will deliver him, and they will condemn him to death. He's going to die, verse 19, and they will hand him over to the Gentiles, which is the Romans, to mock and scourge and crucify him. Exactly what happened to him. It's amazing when you look at prophecies today of people, they're very general, nothing specific, and yet Jesus' prophecies are very specific. All the details are there. If we read passages like Isaiah 53, we get even more details. And remember, passages like Isaiah 53 talking about exactly how he suffered and how he was mocked and beard plucked out, and all those details are 600 years or more before Jesus actually dies. Here, much closer to the time, he's outlining exactly how he's going to die, and then on the third day, verse 19, he will be raised up. And so the cross not only talks about death, but it talks about life. It talks about that eternal life, that we will be raised with him in the end. Death is not the end. The cross predicts and tells us about that future life that we can have. And so just a wonderful just how God very specifically, Jesus predicts his death and resurrection. Amen.